Come right up, come here. Huh.
Did you say for number one?
I can't hear you.
Good evening, how are you doing? Did you say for number one?
Yeah,
Okay, good evening. I'm Shaquita Thomas, and I am currently leasing 2601 and 2611 Woodley Park Drive. I started leasing it August the 1st of 2023. I know the original application, it came in for it to be zoned for beauty salons and beauty shops, but I'm the owner of a child care center, and I was coming to ask, could it be reconsidered to be zoned for child care?
I think that's what they, well,
So it's already
B2,
Well, they came in front of the planning commission, like she said, stating that they were going to do one thing. Now they're back saying that they wanted to
go to child care with it
childcare.
versus that. Well, I think you gotta go back to the planning commission to do that. Where's the planning? Mr. Adams, talk to us about this.
They didn't know anything.
They don't know anything about what she
They
wants.
they came, not her, I think the owner came.
when they came to the barber shop, did they approve that?
They
Yeah,
approved the barber
approved that,
shop with
yeah.
stipulations on it.
That's what Mr. Adams tells us, what the next move would be on this.
Probably back to planning commission for them to review it again. That would be the recommendation to go
Okay,
back to.
I think that's a good idea. Go back to planning commission, let them
Yeah.
look at it again, okay? We'll do that. We'll send it back to planning commission and have them reconsider it, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Does that make sense?
All right, item number 2 is the budget, and we have in our hands here the adjustments in the budget. Let me pass those down. There's 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Brantley, okay, put one on Brantley's desk, okay? Cece's not gonna be here. He will not be here. Can't fly back that far. Here's your. Thank you. 3, got that way, okay. All right, we got adjustments in the budget, and what we've done has increased the, decreased the expense, election expense by 62.5, and put that in miscellaneous, 62.5. Increased council travel by $2,500, move that out of other expense, kind of drop that down, that gets that down to there. All these just adjustments were made to do this, and then I can tell you that we put an extra $100,000 per council district in the 457 account, and you've also, and that's the big deal, okay? And you got 200,000 in the camera
So
account.
divided by 9?
Huh?
Divided by 9?
100 each.
So 900,000.
100,000 each.
Yeah, it's
For
it's by now.
cameras?
Oh, no, 200 divided by 9.
Okay, okay.
You okay, Mr. Pruitt?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Anybody got any questions?
They'll be putting up gates.
Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any questions on
Charlie,
budget?
are we talking about the whole budget real
Yeah,
quick?
whole budget.
All right, I have a quick question, and,
All right.
some of us,
You got the lady here can answer the question.
and I saw where the sanitation department is going to talk to us today. One of the concerns I got is the number of police officers that we have and what we're actually budgeting for. And I thought we were going to see, and I didn't see it on the work session, a retention program, somebody coming to us and talking to us from public safety about retention, and
I don't think that's today on that, but I know sanitation's gonna talk to us today.
I thought they said that the police department in our
I don't
last
know anything
budget
about that.
hearing was coming.
I don't see that, no.
Miss
Well,
Betty,
I know that they are working on a plan for the police department. I don't think they're ready to review that, is that right, Mr. Reed?
That's true.
Okay, so there is a plan there to hire 150 police officers if at all possible. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We have a comprehensive plan to get after that. Recruiting outside of our local area for possible police officers and individuals interested in being in law enforcement. And then from that perspective, after that perspective, we're looking at retention tools that we can use to try to keep the police officers that we do have that are sworn in the police force. So we have a comprehensive plan that we're working on, just not ready to unveil that yet because we don't have the fine details worked out.
And Ms. Betty, you've got enough money in the budget to take care of
The
all of that.
authorized positions are funded. They
Okay.
just don't have people in those
I
positions that are
understand.
vacant.
Well, we gotta have the money before we can hire them.
Let me ask you this, Charlie.
Yeah.
In that fallout, Betty, can we, or in our retention program, that whenever we get ready to roll it out, are we gonna fix these pay scales of MPD? Because look, we can budget for 200 officers. Let's just be real. And we continue to pay them the same exact amount and doing the same thing. We're not gonna get them.
No, that's not, I assure you, that's not the plan.
Well, that's why I'm asking is in this
That's
plan,
what-
Charlie.
That's what you talked about with what's going on in Tuscaloosa. The chief knows that, the mayor knows that, all those things are taken into consideration.
And I think the budget for the city of Tuscaloosa is tied to the Consumer Price Index, CPI.
Well,
And I know that the finance director over there, for all employees, was looking at an 8.5% hit this year, and she was pretty sick trying to figure out how they were going to be able to afford that. But they were working on it, so
well,
I know they are tied
the University of
to CPI.
Alabama's up at 71,000 on-campus cops.
Oh, okay.
So that's what driving Tuscaloosa's situation. Base pay for police that's on
What's our
campus
base pay,
of the University of
48,000?
Alabama is 71,000. Montgomery, I don't know.
46,000? Our base pays 46,000.
How old is 46?
46.
Yeah, that's what's happening. We got to change it all,
Well,
but
that's-
that's what's in process now.
But Charlie, that's what I was asking in this plan that we're talking about, as far as keeping them and that sort of things, is one of the plans to fix the pay salaries, and if it is, do we use the fallout money?
We wouldn't have enough fallout money to do that because of all of the emergency situations we've had this year with incentives for the companies that are coming to town, like Manna, $5+ million there, another $10 million that was obligated to a venue here in the city of Montgomery. So as we fill positions, we don't have that kind of fallout. 22 was an exceptional year for fallout. The current year, I mean, I'm expecting that we have to commit at least $1 million to fund balance, and then we're rolling out another almost $1 million in order for you all to be able to do things in your district to add to Fund 457.
457 account.
And then we had, emergencies over at Crampton Bowl, mandated things that had to be done at the Biscuit Stadium. So when you're looking at, in the current year, if I had to cover all of those items, I would not be able to do it. And our problem is we need new revenue. The growth is not enough to take care of the needs of the city. And we've got deferred maintenance issues. Every time I turn around, there's a $100,000+ roof that needs to be repaired. I got a video just yesterday showing the water coming into the fire department's training center. I mean, it looked like somebody had a hose and it was just coming straight down in to that bathroom, from the bathroom into the kitchen area. So these are things, air conditioning units that are going bad at the old Montgomery Mall, where we've got that station out there.
So all the expenses that we incur, we pretty much pay for it out of fallout through the police department, for example, because there's a lot of fallout. Just looking at the numbers, there's a lot of fallout in that
and we have
department.
to, because of things that they have needed during the year over there. I think there was a situation with the security, people getting locked in the stairwell, couldn't unlock certain jail cells. You're talking about 250,000 here, 353 there. So yeah, any fallout, this is what we've had. So as we're filling positions and increasing pay, we're going to have to try to find a new revenue source.
You look at the financial statement that we got at the end of August, that you just sent out September the 10th, I guess, what we got, the financial statement?
Oh, the ones that
The
come
one
from
that
the
the
clerk.
council gets every week, every
And
month.
that was through.
You look in there, you'll see, even though you got fallout, you got some bills hadn't been paid yet,
Oh,
and
we
it's
still
large.
we won't finish paying bills until the end of October because of September. You know, you can't pay September bills by the end of the month. They hit you. So we have to accrue them in September and expense them,
All right, I have one more question, one more and I'm done, Rondé.
Okay, yes, sir.
If you had a magic wand then, Betty,
Yes.
for revenue, cut out the occupational tax because we can't do it.
Oh, we can though. Now that you're speaking about it, I was gonna ask, but Stacy, I think as we have this conversation, that is the only other way. I know I've been looking at different options, and the only thing that changes from us and other municipalities that have changed and been able to update their cities is they have occupational
But the
taxes.
state
But
legislature,
We
our
had to take
legislature
them to
stopped
court.
it.
state legislature stopped it.
They stopped it, yeah.
We should have took them to court then, but I'm asking that we look into that and make that an option.
Well, we fought that one for many years.
And then I have the question.
But is there anything else, Betty, besides,
You know, I gave you all some information, I think, maybe 4 or 6 weeks ago. I don't know if you were here, but I handed out a document. If you didn't get it, I can get you a copy of it. And we looked at other cities in the Big Ten to see where their revenue sources
Yes, ma'am.
were. And outside of, as was stated earlier, the occupational tax is pretty much like the city of Montgomery. It's sales and use tax, which that is about 50% of our total budget.
I know, it's backwards,
Yeah.
I know.
But that's, you know, the only other thing would be fees and fines, which is something that we're going to try to look at
Okay.
coming up, but it's
But that's
still,
like finding a quarter in your county.
it's not gonna be
That ain't
enough.
gonna happen.
It wouldn't be enough, in my opinion.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I have one point that I want to talk about. I think I reached out to a friend up in Prattville. Prattville is October 1st will start paying their sanitation CDL drivers $21 an hour. I know that we cannot, get there, but I think our drivers coming in, we can at least give them step 3, which I think is $17.27. And I know we're talking about finding money, but I'm willing to, that $100,000 that I received for fallout, I'm willing to give my money back if that's give us the ability to bring in some CDL drivers so sanitation will not be short. So you don't have to find money when it comes to me. I'm willing to give my $100,000 back to help the city as a whole.
You know,
District 8 needs a little bit more, if you wanna help the whole city.
Okay.
wait a
feel
minute, I have
the
a
love.
question.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
I know on last year we did an increase, and this year we have an increase to salaries and, you know,
And the
that sort of
fringes
thing.
go along with that.
Right, but when I hear you say that our budget is really tight, I'm not saying that we don't increase our people, but I think maybe we should consider that, because last year when there was a concern about if we do this, can we maintain it? That was my only question that I kept asking. Can we maintain this? Because we got to continue to give merit raise. We got to continue to give cost of living raises, all of these type of raises. So if we jump 19% and 15% and 14%, you know, can we maintain this with our revenue? And there was this just unwavering, yes, we can maintain it. But just 1 year later, you know, to hear you say that we kind of tight, I'm just concerned
Well,
that
we are able to maintain, my projections are based on what I know that we can maintain.
But
Now,
if we keep increasing, but you're saying our revenue is not increasing, but we keep increasing.
it's increasing enough for us to maintain the raises, what's in this budget and my revenue projections. I try to be as conservative as I can when looking at those. And I know, and you all know based on the slides that have gone up on the big screen, what the 4 revenue sources for our sales and use tax, our lodging tax, gasoline tax, and alcoholic beverage tax. And so we were stable at 6% on our sales and revenue tax. Well, I'm not gonna budget all 6% of that for the next year's growth. I anticipate growth, but we're looking at 3.5% in some of those line items. Our ad valorem tax increased because we were able to bring on companies that had gotten the incentives for coming to Montgomery, and I think for 10 years, some of them didn't have to pay, ad valorem taxes or real property taxes. So that went up about 1.5%, which that usually remains pretty stagnant, over the years. But we are seeing, because those businesses have come to the city starting more than 10 years ago. I think HMMA came in 2005. So we're seeing the results of getting those ad valorem taxes now. And so the growth that we actually get, I don't base, my projections up to the top of that growth percentage.
I just know when I hear you say that for me, somebody who's not finance person like yourself who know money in their sleep, we trust what you say. And so, to just hear you say that, just for me, is there's a concern to say, we got to come up with some more revenue, because that's what
And
you
we
said.
are, if we want to continue to be able to do some of the things that have not been done in years gone by. And I know Jeremy can address this better than I can. Deferred maintenance is a big thing. When you got bricks falling off buildings, you've got roofs that you're not just replacing the shingles or whatever those roofs require. My house is shingles, so that's all I can speak to. But whatever it is that you're using to replace it, when you're getting down into the actual construction, the wood and all of that, it's going to definitely cost you more if it hadn't been replaced in 15, 20, 30 years.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we did that $50 million bond like 3 years ago. And I think we haven't completely used all that, right? We still haven't finished even those projects.
Yeah, but it's been allocated and they are in process now.
All of them.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
that we're going to be able to do, yes.
All that we're going to be able to do with the $50 million.
And I have to make sure that we follow IRS guidelines when it comes to that bond money.
I mean, when we got that money, there was a list of what we were going to do. It wasn't like we got the $50 million trying to figure out what we were going to do. We had a list of things that we were going to accomplish, and we've been slow about moving on that, but I guess you're saying now we're pretty much...
And because of the pandemic, that was one of the things that slowed us down. And then the cost of materials during and after the pandemic, you have the difficulty of getting them, number one, and the cost of the materials themselves having sometimes double.
And I know you talked well about our debt services going. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all all right? Okay. I know you talked good about our debt services going down as well, that we paid off a lot of debt and then we got that. So how are we looking when it comes to that? Are we still kind of...
Right now, it is at a level, it's going to drop off again in 2 years, okay? But we are much better off at 20 million than we were at 38.
Okay.
So that has helped to sustain the city as far as the increase in raises and what have you, and the fallout we've had.
And Betty, I kind of want to make sure that we are keeping some context here also, because, Councilman Pruitt was talking about fallout money. So when we talk about the budget being tight, we've been able to pay all our bills for the year. We have fallout money. But when it comes to the prioritized list of what we do with that fallout money, then it becomes tight because we can't fund all those things. And we have to make some very educated decisions on what we use those dollars for. So when we start talking about the budget and being tight, what we don't want to do is mischaracterize that the city is at a deficit. We're not at a deficit. We're able to pay those bills, but the council, in concert with the team here over with the mayor's office, is what do we necessarily prioritize and then spend those dollars on as we have those fallout dollars. And I think that's what Ms. Beeville is talking to explicitly, is when we say we're tight, we don't have enough fallout to completely fund our quote-unquote wish list. So we're going to have a Christmas list, but you're not going to get everything on the Christmas list like back when you were a youngster or whatever, and that's where we're going with that.
And I appreciate that, but I don't think I misunderstood what Ms. Beeville was saying either, because I understand that's what Pruitt was talking about. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the budget, and so was Ms. Betty when she said that we got to generate more revenue. She wasn't talking about for fallout money. I'm not confusing this. I'm not putting one over here. I got it together though, but I appreciate you trying to make sure those in the audience, maybe that's what you were saying that for them, that they understood exactly what we was talking about. But I knew exactly what she was talking about, and I understand exactly what Pruitt was talking about. But I appreciate you trying to clarify that.
Right,
So there
and from
is
a
no
growth,
confusion.
and you're exactly right. From a growth perspective, we need to have multiple ways of generating revenue for the city as the city continues to grow. I remember when I first came to Montgomery around 2010, right? Montgomery pretty much ended at Bell Road. Now we're out Sturbridge, we're out Wind Lakes, we're out East Chase, all those areas. So the city has grown exponentially. So what we have to do is find new revenue to be able to fund the growth of this city, as people are wanting to come here, as the mayor would say, learn and earn. And so that's what we're looking at in the long term, is how do we do that in a responsible way and ensure that the citizens have all the services they need from their city government.
Yeah, we still trying to figure that out.
Ms. Beeville, I got a question. I fully agree with you that income's gone down. I look at it every day when I'm financing a loan for somebody. do we know what, and it's hard to tell, what true growth is in inflation? Because inflation has skewed our numbers, and if inflation backs up, where a gallon of milk don't cost $6, it's back to $4.50, where would, that's, I look at that, do we, because I know Pike Road's pulled some numbers from us, because I've heard the numbers on their Publix, and that's dollars that would have been spent 2 years ago here in Montgomery. It would have been spent here, and it's been spent out there.
It would have been more of our sales tax coming in that the city could have used, but not to the point that it was, detrimental to the city that that new public store was created out in Pike Road. And I think, that was 3 years, maybe 2 years ago?
I think that's about right.
But, sales taxes continue to grow. We hadn't missed a beat on that. I know that because that revenue source is 50% of our budget, if we hit another recession like we did in 08, 09, Mr. Jinright?
Right.
And we lost $14 million in revenue, that could be
And
serious.
that
It makes a real simple budget. You just cut everything across the board 2% and you start over again. And you do that first February and you go.
I can have what you're asking me, looked
Right.
at, but we haven't had time since we started this budget back in April with everything else going on.
No, I agree with you, because East Dale Mall generated a bunch of income, and I question how much it's generating these days. And we got closures at East Chase, so no, I agree with you. It's
But as I said earlier, it's being able to pay off all short-term debt, which I will do everything I can to recommend that we never get back to that position again, and decreasing. We went to the bond market with more debt on our books than what we came back with.
yes, ma'am.
Because the bond sold at a premium, about
Okay.
$17 million in premium. So that was a good thing. We don't normally do that when we go to the bank. We want to refinance, and I'm going
Right.
to come back home paying a lot less than what I was paying before, the principal amount, okay? So anyway, we just got to look for some new revenue
Okay.
sources
No,
to
I
keep
don't.
growing.
I got one other question, Charlie. On
Sure.
the trash trucks, I think Chris gave a presentation that we're talking about and getting a program.
He's about to do it this afternoon.
What now?
He's about to do it here.
Okay. All right. I don't want to steal his thunder then.
So anything else, Mr. Pruitt? No, ma'am. Okay,
Okay, thank you, Betty.
thank you.
Okay, number 3.
We're going to pass this either up or down today, Charlie. I'm not going to carry it over.
Okay, all right. Number 4, what you gonna do that, Brantley? Carry it over? What?
He's gonna pull it.
Pull 4 and 9 and just look at 10.
Okay, all right. All right, number 5, this is a meeting's at 3:30.
We're going to carry that over, Charlie.
What about going to 10 o'clock in the morning? I think we ought to go to either 1:30.
Why you want to carry it over, Councillor? Why you want to carry it over?
Some folks not here, somebody
Okay.
asked me to carry it over.
Okay.
Okay, item number
And
6.
then, wait a minute, and then Ms. Blaylock said that you can actually change it once y'all are sworn in that day, you can actually change it, well, that's the way you operate, where it's not,
Yeah.
it'll just be a part of the, at that time, so it may be
I think we
easier.
ought to do a 1:30 work session,
So I don't
3
know
o'clock.
if y'all wanna wait till then or what, but
About 6:30.
I'm asking if we stay the poll.
Yeah, and that's why I respect it, that's why I carried it over.
Okay, item number 6, same way, what you gonna do with that?
We tied up in legal with that right now. Glenn and I are still trying to work with Stacy and see. I think the question was, how do it affect the whole city or just that one area? So we're gonna carry it over until we get a.
Why can't we do a description on that? It wouldn't affect the whole city.
She was saying, Stacy, can you explain to Mr. Pruitt what you was telling me on this particular?
Number 6.
I think that the issue I have, number one, is we're dealing with citizens, individuals' property rights by telling them they can't do construction. And number two, there is no public concern that it addresses.
There is a public concern.
Well, there's public concern for that area.
Right?
But
And
that's not.
and that's why we're gonna make it distinctive to that area, not the whole city.
Right, but the idea is you're not just doing it for the benefit of just a portion of the city, you're doing it for the benefit of the city. It's like if you do a moratorium on payday loan businesses, then that's across the board. We have too many of them, we need to restrict them, we need to figure out what the issue is. You know, we've done that on several different things, but trying to restrict construction and an individual property owner's right to construct on their property.
We're not restricting them, we're asking for a grace period for the city to go in and try to figure out how to fix the road. We're not saying you can't build forever and a day. And two, it would be a citywide, and as you were speaking, I was thinking about it, it would be for the general benefit of the whole city. There are people right up and down Bell Road every day that doesn't live in Bell Station, Norris Farms, Fairfield, so it does affect the whole city.
Well,
And I learned that, and I didn't even get a law degree.
well, I tend to disagree, and I've done some research and haven't been able to find anything or have not been able to formulate anything in my mind that I could argue or put in an ordinance that would articulate why it would benefit the entire city to tell these property owners and these construction companies that they cannot do any business in a small area.
For a certain period of time. It's not forever. Yeah, until we, the city, make the
Have we
proper-
done a traffic study? Have we already got a
Yeah,
traffic
it's
study?
F's. Everybody's got an F up and down.
So
Bell
the traffic
Road and
study got
Vaughn
an
Road.
F?
Yes,
What?
The traffic study's an F?
yes.
Bad traffic study.
Right. But there, as far as I know, there's no plan of action, and I'm not sure how,
I think this helps the city move forward to get a plan of action.
well, but,
Because if we sit and wait on us, then we're gonna be here a long time.
well, I hear what you're saying, but telling these owners, again, that we're going to tell them they can't do anything because the city hadn't come up with a plan is not really for the benefit of the city. And we have bigger concerns when we're addressing what we're going to do with private property or tell other people what they cannot do.
We do that every day.
Well, we do, but
do
there's
that
a
every day.
legitimate public interest. It's usually a public safety interest.
With liquor licenses and rezonings and everything else. I mean,
Right, but we have done that as part of a citywide plan. I'm happy to discuss it further, but I'd ask that you not do anything on it today if you're considering passing it, and let us have a more detailed conversation.
All right. Let's go to the next item. Number 7 has been withdrawn by the applicant. Anybody wants to know, the traffic study came back expensive. Number 8, we'll do that for
Yeah,
CC.
and it's recommended that we do it. The only deal is that Ms. Blaylock said whoever's here are the only ones that will sign it, even though everybody's name on here, and we know at least one counselor is out of the country, so he won't be able to sign it. We're gonna have to kind of do it that way to try to get it back. So
Okay.
if y'all would consider this today, I'd appreciate it.
All right, number 10,
9.
I'm looking for number 9 in here.
Oh,
It's at the top.
oh, yeah.
It's one
Flip it over.
page. It's just one page.
Maybe I picked it up. Yeah, I did. Okay. All right, number 9, we want to pull this, is that right? Or
Yeah, he said pull it.
you want to pull that one, Brantley?
Oh, no, we ain't.
Number 9, it's
Brantley, what
not,
did you want to do? You said something about number 9?
Yeah, pull it.
Okay, this is the one put on,
that's the one Stacy did. Legal did 9, Brantley did 10.
okay. This is the one that's got flagpoles in it, huh?
They're in essence, they're the same thing. When I'm looking at, I just looked at the two and compared.
I think
It's the
it's
same thing,
complicated.
but,
They're not-
well, the resolution will, the
Number
resolution.
9 is not the same as number 10.
It's an ordinance that'll stand in play and it'll go in the muni code, whereas this resolution would not. Does that make sense?
The resolution
You know what I'm saying?
addresses all city property, that's where the door's been opened. But I mean,
And I do think though that number 9, Brentley,
That's what we
number
need.
9 is
might
dealing
just
with
address
three
what they
flag
came here
poles
about.
out front.
yeah, but that's what they came about.
Well, no, they want to do a Christian Heritage Month.
But they want to go on a different flagpole, don't they?
They wanted to go on a different route.
We're talking about,
And we talked about a closing the door to any kind of request on city property whatsoever, and number 10 takes care of that issue.
Let me ask, number 10 is, would that be that they have to come before the council and get approval if they want to do it versus just being,
Now, number 10, I mean,
would
if
just
you
stop
read
it
it on,
altogether?
It's stopping it all together.
No,
nothing on city
Okay.
property. Except for under paragraph 2, under the bottom, it says, anybody that's gonna do a temporary display for a special event, under a special event permit.
Like Camellia Bowl or
This
something.
don't apply to that.
you know, my only,
And this only deals with giving a platform to political or ideology or anything that the city should stay neutral in.
and when it comes to that, you know, I'm not gonna fight that. Somebody else may have something else to say about it, but the part down here for me, Brantley, if we could consider what it said, be it therefore resolved about removing everything that's already there and taking out what's there in 30 days, I just think
Where
anything
that,
that's already been done.
the very bottom?
Yeah, I think anything that's already been done should not be forced to be removed, because we kind of somewhat gave permission at some point. We let them did it, so.
You saying going forward?
Yeah, from this, you know, anything from this point out, I can see us wanting to address that maybe, but to just say, to go and take off everything that's out there, I think that's gonna be a lot.
I think it made a statement. Let me be clear. I think that made an absolute statement
Well,
that there was retaliation from not wanting to do American Christian Heritage Month, which is not federally recognized, and politics and
Doesn't have
religion
to
should
be-
never
it
be.
doesn't have to be
But
federally
this became racially motivated.
It's not racially
And
motivated.
when you stated in the original one,
What
that
are you-
it
what
was
are you gonna do
political
if-
and
If the
ideology.
KKK wanted to come up and
That's
say,
what
we
the
want our
question-
mural painted on city property.
well, they've made enough of statements.
But I mean, I'm just
So,
saying.
number
or any
9,
other
as an
group.
ordinance, I get what you're saying, I absolutely do. But as an ordinance, and what we originally came here for, we spoke about the flag poles. Their requests were about the flag poles and flying that religious flag for one religion that everybody does not agree with, even us, all 9 of us.
Well, I agree, but then by just allowing that, let's say y'all said yeah to the Christian.
We
Heritage
weren't gonna
thing,
say
yeah
yes.
to then you leave the door open to, you know, any other group that may not be appropriate to do the same thing. And that's
So
why I
you're
went to
saying
this
the
next
mural
step.
because you went directly to
No,
it?
I mean, you ain't gotta have that. I mean, if y'all wanna delete that,
Mi-
fine.
Mr. President,
yes, sir.
question for legal. Have you had an opportunity to look at this ordinance? Can we get a legal opinion on this ordinance,
Number 10,
on number 10?
I think I have seen it, there were a couple of versions floating back and forth. I have not seen,
Here's the new one.
I've got what was a part of the agenda
Wait,
packet,
yeah, is
but
it?
I understand there's another version.
Wait, here. That's
Maybe.
not the right one. That's not the right one. Mr. Lyons, you're gonna have to pass her.
I can't hear you. Your mic on, Ms.
That's
Blaylock?
number 10 is what we already
The
had.
substitute.
Brantley has a substitute.
Oh,
He passed it.
Ms. Blaylock mic not
Yeah,
on. I
he
can't
passed.
hear Ms. Blaylock.
Mr. Lyons has a substitute that he plans on introducing during the
Yeah.
council meeting.
But I mean, that substitute still has that, like what Audrey said, if y'all wanna take that out, and that's fine.
I think it should stick with the flags because that's what the conversation was about. It had nothing to do with ideologies, politics, or anything. It is just mixing religion and politics. We even have clergy. Clergy, if you all are here, could you please stand up that are here? And I would love to hear from them because anything we speak about will be political. But we have clergy that are literally here that are in opposition of this as well.
oh, is that what Mr. Eisner was here for? He's in opposition to his?
Maybe, I'm not sure. That's just me saying it, but they may be in opposition or may be for. But Mr. Eisner, if you don't mind, if you can come right here, Mr. If you all could come right here, please.
What did he say?
I asked him to come to the microphone. And these are different faiths. This isn't just Christian. These are different faiths.
Is this an appropriate time to speak?
Yes, sir, please.
In respect to the flag
Mr.
flying
President.
resolution?
3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Reverend Shane Eisner. I am the treasurer of Interfaith Montgomery, as well as the pastor of First Christian Church on Taylor Road. I request tonight that this council respectfully decline the petition to fly the Christian heritage flag. You may be surprised that I, a Christian clergyman, do not endorse that petition, and so let me explain why as a matter of faith. My church practices weekly communion. Hospitality is therefore essential to how we understand faith. Jesus, we believe, extended welcome to everybody, but reserved special attention to those feeling lost, least, left out, and left behind. In Matthew 25, he says, "Whatsoever you have done unto the least of these my children, you have done unto me." Hospitality, not ideology, is therefore essential to Christianity. For that reason, I'm a proud member of Interfaith Montgomery. We have learned over years of building relationships that the strongest communities are where people have equal access to making an impact, where nobody feels second class, where leaders do not privilege louder voices over quieter ones, where leaders take extra time to help those feeling left out. For that reason, we celebrated the Black Lives Matter mural. For that reason, we have honored LGBTQ pride flags flown. In various ways, gay, black, transgender Montgomeryans have not received equal access to having a say, and therefore, providing symbols of hospitality helps signals a new day. As a Christian pastor, I have never questioned whether I have equal access to having a say. Indeed, whether I'm wearing this collar or sweats, people assume I'm a Christian. That appears normal. As such, the Christian flag is not a symbol of welcome to people pushed aside. For many, it is a signal of who is in charge, of who calls the shots, of whose voice matters most, and that's not what I want from my city. Jesus calls us to provide hospitality, welcome, and we know that hospitality is different based on who you are welcoming. If I was having a dinner party and a person arrives in a wheelchair and someone doesn't, I adapt my hospitality, my seating needs for those based on their needs. As such, Christians do not need flags flown by politicians to know that we are welcome. Those risk indeed signaling that only Christians are welcome, and so Jewish, Muslim, Baha'i, atheist, Hindu neighbors should change or leave, and that is not what I want from my city. I treasure a city where I learn from people who are not like me, where I can share my gifts, where I can receive theirs. And while a flag is a symbol, or a simple symbol, symbols are important, as anyone who has seen a flag burned understands viscerally. Therefore, please decide to promote a city of hospitality and respectfully decline the petition to fly the Christian flag. We are stronger together. We are best as one Montgomery. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, sir.
That was right on time, apparently.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I pulled that resolution.
I understand, but I need you to hear different viewpoints, because you stated in this resolution about symbols and murals. We are a city that has been diverse and long.
I understand all that, but that is not what this is about. This is about closing the door.
Of what?
For the city or a municipality or a government offering a platform for all these different political groups or ideology groups or whatever. If you've read the Shurtleff versus City of Boston case, which I've given all y'all, and I've quoted it to you, and I've given you copies of it, you know that that has been an issue.
Supreme Court.
And the Supreme
Black
Court
people are not
ruled against the
political.
City of Boston.
Koreans are not political. Asians are not political. As we represent this city of people, your district is blended. You have to represent the body. I understand you are moving forward and going out of this council. As a council, we represent the people. That is their symbols, that are their beliefs, and that is as all. We are not to fly those flags on this property, which is what the ordinance stated in 9. But your resolution, it talks about the people that identify that have been underserved, disenfranchised, and now we're gonna cut them off, and we're gonna call them political. I won't stand up here and do that, and I won't sit alongside no one to do that.
Based on what you're saying, we would have to grant the
No, we
American
won't.
Christian Heritage
No, we
request,
won't.
because if you don't,
That
that's
is
yes,
one
you do. That's
belief of
discrimination
people.
against them. You
That
did
is
it
a
for one
belief.
group, but not another group.
Okay.
Reverend
Number
Wagstaff.
10 fixes that. Number 10
Enough. That's it.
fixes that.
Reverend.
You can agree.
Just allow me to say, my name is Robert Wagstaff. I'm a pastor here in Montgomery. And when I walk out in front of this building, I want this building to represent every aspect of every individual citizen of this city and state. I need to be fair with my process to everybody, make them feel that they're welcome here and that they can feel comfortable coming in this building knowing that they're not going to be thought of as being biased in any way, any form, shape, or fashion. So when we look at this from the perspective of doing what's right, we want to make sure that whatever we do it to be inclusive. Inclusive.
Inclusive.
That's why number 10 is called neutral.
You may not have inclusive eyes at this point.
I have a request. I'm sorry I came late to the meeting, Mr.
Yes, sir, go
Jinright.
ahead.
My name is Scott Looper. I happen to be a rabbi at Temple Beth Or. And when I found out about the issue about flying the flag, I did what most Jews do, which is to do some research. And what I researched was that in 1992, there was a representative from West Virginia who had a request before his colleagues in the House to set aside Thanksgiving week as a time to celebrate Christian heritage of America. And it goes on to say that tragically, Christians throughout America have failed to capitalize on what Congress did in 1992. Denominational leaders have failed to move the interests of Christ forward, even on those very rare occasions when Congress hands them a gift such as this. More than 20 years, this opportunity has lacked widespread support from Christians. It is no wonder that liberal mainline denominations have treated it with disdain, but it is inexcusable that Bible-believing denominations have failed to arm their members with the resource necessary to help stem the tide of spiritual and moral decay of our nation. Until Christian leaders begin to focus on the work to which Christ has called them, and not merely their own parochial passions, the church in America will continue its decline. So I ask, why do you want to fly the flag? For what purpose do you want to put this flag up? And I think that that's the crux of the matter. Because if it is for Christian pride, I think that many Christians show their pride on Sunday and on Wednesday when they go to church. I would echo my colleague's statement about the unity and the totality of religions in Montgomery. I think that's an important thing for us to think about, not just to think in our own bubble. And then there's the final question which I put to you, which is, what are we going to talk about when we talk about Christianity? Is it just going to be the good parts? One of my favorite books is called The Princess Bride, The Good Parts. And it's told by William Goldman. His father told it to him when he was recovering from pneumonia. And his father told him the good parts. So the question is, are we just going to look at the good parts, or are we going to look at all things, right? Because if we're talking about Christian pride, then it calls upon us to look at what people did with their slaves, putting them up in the balcony, so that they could listen and be told to hear their masters, and that suffering was good for salvation. So I ask that you consider all of this and not put up a flag to represent one religion, even though I know it's the dominant religion, but it does our city no good. We can show pride in other ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me say, I feel like we have two different discussions going on, if I might say that. So, but let me address the issue about the flag. I appreciate every member of faith that is here represented and has spoken today to share your concern, belief, criticism, just your thoughts on the matter. I also am a person of faith, and I just feel that there was no discussion had at all about any other flag we've flown. No discussion about it. It was just okay to do, you know, and that was just not to say that everybody in this room agreed with what that flag stood for, that was out there, but because they live in this city, their flag was flown. They're a part of this city. So to say that Christians, you live in this city, but you can't have a flag flown. If you fly your flag, it's something wrong with that. I disagree with that. I don't understand that. I'm not saying it's above anybody. I'm not saying anybody's subject to the faith. I'm not saying you have to be a believer. I'm just saying just like everyone else wants to show that they are represented, so do Christians when it comes to the flag. So let me say that. Now, whether or not we do that, that's the decision of this council, how we decide to vote about that. I think we're going to kind of ultimately shut it down and not fly any flags other than the American flag, and I get that, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. That doesn't move me either way. But be clear, you know, it's nothing wrong with someone who that wants to show their pride, just like anybody else who has flown a flag in front of this building. It's okay with you to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it kind of takes me aback that there's so much conversation against it, as if that is a way that we're saying we are pushing our faith on someone just because a flag is there, because that's not it. Let me say that. That is not it. That was never the issue. But when it comes to the other one, number 10, you know, I do stand back with that one because I don't want us going back trying to remove things that we've already done, trying to make a statement against that. I do stand back by that. And then at the same time, Bradley, I do understand that you feel like we've opened doors somewhere or another.
Well, that's what this whole thing is about. You know, if you let one group do it, you got to let another group do it, and you got to let another group do it. And this wasn't all about self-pride or promoting a thing. This is all about, and that's why I pulled for it. And I want to know the people that came and spoke. Did y'all read number 4? Did you read this resolution?
I read the resolution that was originally presented to you all.
Okay, we got it.
Okay.
All right, we got to bring this.
Well,
Anyway, I pulled number 4, and what I'm trying to do is create a neutral ground where nobody, and that's what number 10 is about. Now, Audrey has an issue with a clause at the bottom of number 10, which we can delete, you know, as far as going back and just pass it without that.
Yeah.
If that will suffice.
I respect what you're trying to do, Brantley, but what I'm telling you is
I'm
the
trying
city
to keep
that
the
we're...
city from getting involved in the future lawsuit, just like City of Boston in the Shirtliff case.
I believe number 9 does that. My stance is still strong
But
on 10.
it doesn't, because it leaves
All right,
a door
we've
open
argued
for the
enough
city
about this.
property together.
When you come up and we'll vote it down and vote it up, okay?
That's fine.
We'll let you talk at the
This is
actual
not a public hearing.
council meeting.
We
This
just-
just a work session.
It's a
part.
work session, you can sign up and talk later.
Okay, well, we're gonna let you talk when we get to it. We hadn't got there just yet. Okay.
what she want to talk about?
She want to talk on number 4.
She said she signed up on next topic.
Well, I'll be at the 5 o'clock meeting, okay? And we may get there by 6, okay? Where we going?
It's
All right, number 11.
I pulled number 4.
Number 11 is the, yeah, on that.
That's you.
Lounge, okay, we'll see what new, at
Or
5
a
o'clock.
club.
It's
Club
actually,
or
Coming at 5 o'clock.
it's actually setting the show cause.
Okay.
It's not the show cause. it's
This is
setting
not the show
Mr.
cause.
Grimes.
Hold on, we don't need you right now.
No, right. Mr. Grimes,
This is
they coming
just
at 5
setting a
o'clock.
show cause.
You'll address him at 5 o'clock,
Yes, we'll talk to you
Okay.
at 5.
or whatever time we get there, okay?
Yeah.
Number 12, where you dollar-for-dollar match on the Safety Home Pilot Service Series grant.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Who's in charge of this?
Terry's here. And my only question, Terry,
Yeah,
is
come
this,
on.
the Safely Home Pilot Series grant. Do we have any information about that? Like,
I can provide that to you, but essentially, this is a grant through youth advocate programs. They are looking for an entity in Montgomery to apply. The school board was not interested. you guys have already allocated funding for youth programming. This letter is saying if you take $300,000 of money that you've already allocated for youth programming, they'll just give you another $300,000.
Now, what about the county? Did they get involved with this? Because I didn't see that you, stated that they had given any money toward this.
So the county, all of the money for youth programming will be run through the city's Office of Violence Prevention. So the county is going to sign an interlocal agreement, and they will be transferring their half of that funding over to the city to be housed. And so that interlocal agreement has actually been finalized on the county side. I think your city attorney has also reviewed that.
Okay.
It's at a place to be executed within the next few weeks. So essentially, if the city is awarded this grant, you've got a really good chance of getting it. It's $300,000 of unrestricted funding for youth violence programming, which you've already allocated money to anyway.
And will you please send me some information about this program? I just want to know a little bit about it.
Absolutely.
Before you leave, I know we're going to 13.
13
I got a
next.
question about 13. If anybody else got something.
Small business support. Tell us about that one too.
Okay, if it's okay with the council, representatives from Hope Credit Union are here to give you an overview of that program. If I could ask Mr. Nigel Roberts to come up and he can give you a summary of that program.
Good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Nigel Roberts. I'm Senior VP of Community and Economic Development for Hope Enterprise for the Alabama market and Tennessee market. Hope Enterprise, we are a community of organizations, Hope Enterprise, Hope Credit Union, and Hope Policy. Our primary mission is to come in and make products available, especially loan products, to low asset communities and underserved communities and small businesses. Hope is a minority organization and primarily and majority owned by women. This particular product, we propose to use American Rescue Plan Act funds from the city of Montgomery and county to preserve and grow more than 50 businesses and hopefully more in Montgomery over the next 3 years. Again, we plan to anticipate assisting over 50 businesses. Hope will provide either in-house loan services or they can apply online for these services. These loans will also be considered for a forgivable portion up to 50% for the life of the loan for qualified borrowers. Qualified borrowers have will complete an initial TA through our approved provider and have been in business since February of 2020 and must make on-time payments throughout the term of the loan to qualify for their forgiveness. Just in short, Hope's kind of motto is brighter future begins with hope. We have over 28 years of providing small business services to small businesses throughout the Deep South, and we look forward to servicing Montgomery.
Make this simple to me. You're going to loan small businesses money, and they're going to have to pay you back something.
Yes, sir. Yeah, each applicant would be able to be forgiven from up to 50%, up to $75,000 of what they're provided.
So the loans will only be up to $75,000.
Yeah, they can apply.
We're giving you $2.5 million.
Yes, sir.
How much of that's going to be for administration costs?
Out of this, we allocated $500,000 total for administrative costs.
Administration, that's going to pay you.
Yes, sir.
What kind of rates on those loans, sir?
We cap the rates at 8.25%. It won't go over that.
And so what percentage is forgivable?
Up to 75%, 50%, but up to 75,000. So if they get a $150,000 loan, 75,000 that can be forgiven.
How big a loan can they get? I thought, so they go to 150, or how big can a loan can they get?
Yeah, for small businesses at Hope, we can typically take you up to $250,000.
Oh, wow.
But the cap on
So they could get 125 of that back, or 75, cap it at 75?
75,000 is capped at 75,000.
So we could give them 250 and we give them 75?
Yes, sir. If they pay back on time.
How long is that on time? A year, 2 years, or what?
We base it over a year. What we hope process and plan is to how do we build businesses. So we will work with these businesses on a monthly basis to make sure they're paying. We're looking at cash flows or issues they may have to bring them back in for TA if they need it. So it's not just giving them a loan, it's how do we build small businesses at the same time.
Okay, that's,
And my last question is, will this release it so that they can get busy at Hope? Because I'm quite sure some small business owners who have been waiting for some kind of help, and they're ready to get started. So the plan sounds good.
So Hope has been great to work with. As you all know, on a subrecipient award like this, we have to do extensive risk assessments, and the Hope Enterprises team has provided us numerous documents. So that process is complete. We provided them with a draft agreement to look at. Mr. Roberts has returned that draft. So if the city passes this resolution, we should be at a place where we can execute an agreement within the next week or so.
Okay. And will you be organizing some kind of tutorial or informative meeting and setting for small business owners so that they can know how to start applying for this money?
That is part of the process, and the council should also know that if you recall, the entirety of the small business program was $5 million. This is about 3.2 or so of that. There is currently an RFP open with the city that will also be housed through the City Department of Economic Development for a one-stop shop, which is intensive on all of the city's small businesses for those purposes, to provide technical assistance in all aspects of small business, to help small businesses go through the business licensing process, cut through red tape, and things of that nature. So this is part of a comprehensive small business program that the city and county are funding through ARPA. Again, the county side of this will be transferred to the city's Department of Economic Development through that same interlocal agreement that we talked about with the violence programming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 14, just a license from the wine festival.
Yeah, I don't oppose it. I'm for
Okay,
it.
you find that. Number 15 is
The number 15, only thing is I'm gonna do that for just on premises.
okay, all right. Number 16. This is the one that's controversial in your situation, Audrey. I understand that a lot of
Yeah,
opposition
and
there.
we'll talk about it in the work. Let's just move on to the council meeting.
we're
We'll
not
talk
ready for
about it.
that.
Yeah, we'll get to
This
it.
is strictly the work session. We'll start.
Just so
Council
everybody
meeting
knows kind
sometime
of where I
soon.
stand, the sheriff has said he didn't approve of that, and I have had countless emails and phone calls about objecting to it, so just to know where we stand, I stand on that.
Number 17. How about that one? Mr.
It's fine.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, number 18 is a museum board appointment by Mr. Pruitt. Normal, then you've got your tear downs, and you got your resolution of public nuisance. Okay, we've got some people want to talk to us in the work session. First thing is a presentation on the sanitation operational enhancement program by sanitation, or Mr. Chris.
Good afternoon. I've prepared a very brief 45-minute presentation.
Very good. We got time for it.
I'm glad we're on minute 44 already.
Okay, start the clock. No, just want to talk briefly. I think everybody has a copy of the presentation. Mike, if you want to put it up on the screen, you can do that. But just to go really quickly by the numbers, we have approximately 65,000 customers. Next slide.
Chris,
Mike.
excuse me. We don't have a copy
We
of
never
that
got a
presentation.
copy.
Mike, can you put us on the screen?
Okay, it's up. It's up now.
How about the TV, how about our TV screens?
I don't have it. Brenda, do you have that?
Okay, here we go. First slide.
Got it now. Got it in front of you. Should have it.
Just to give you a little background, we have approximately 65,000 rolling annual customers. As of last Friday, that number was 63,202. We divide that up into 48 residential garbage routes. Those are worked twice each week. If you do the math, that's 4 days available for garbage. We also have the same number of curbside trash routes once each week. That gives you 1 day. We have also 5 commercial routes that we work with that same fleet and those same personnel. And just a note at the bottom, there are no separate crews for garbage and trash being curbside. On garbage pickup days, those crews have trash routes to work after they finish their given garbage route. Next slide, please. As you all know, all of the issues that we had with curbside trash this summer still ongoing. We've searched and searched for that magic pill. There is none. The answer is we need more people, we need more equipment, or we need more money. So far, we've been 0 for 3. So we've come up with some operational enhancements that we would like to recommend for the council's consideration, and those are outlined here. If you go to the next slide, I'll just start down number 1. Number 1, talking about removing the moratorium on loose trash. Currently, we have a moratorium from April to October, or October 1 to April 15th, where we allow people to put loose leaves on the street. This is a tremendous problem for our trash crews. If you look at the reasoning there, it can take up to 15 minutes just to collect one stop due to this, and diminishes the efficiency and effectiveness of what we're able to do out on that route. We also have a water quality stormwater component with our 8M permit, and those loose leaves, grass clippings get into the storm drains, potential for flooding across the city, also diminishing our water quality in our streams and rivers where those things flow. So we're asking that is the number 1 ask of 255 employees that work in sanitation right now. Next slide. The second one is reducing our garbage service day to 1 day a week. Currently, we service it twice each week. If you do the math, each person in Montgomery generates about 1,000 tons of trash per person. So whether we pick that up 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or 5, we're going to pick up 1,000 tons of trash from every person in this city. To mitigate that, we've looked at the potential of providing an additional can per customer. And then also this working garbage once each week will allow us to then put a little more effort and efficiency on that curbside trash. So the days of the week start working out a little bit better for us to do both. Next slide. We also looked at a concept of semi-privatization at a cost of $2.6 million a year. We looked at engaging a private hauler to service a portion of our service area that would relieve some of our current service demands. As we talk about how the city has grown, we've talked with them about taking some of the adjoining areas where we may have a neighborhood where, because of spot zoning in Pike Road, we only have 2 or 3 houses in that entire neighborhood. But our trucks have to go out to that neighborhood, service that one customer, and continue with the rest of their route. So we're looking to try and minimize that.
Chris, will they pick up cans, or will they pick up curb, or will they do
Both.
all of it? Okay.
They would pick up all. And then again, that would shrink the service area for our current sanitation group, so that if we're not able to grow from personnel and from an equipment standpoint, we're better able to handle that smaller service area. Next slide.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Yeah.
That 2.6?
Yeah.
How many households does that cover?
That's about 8,000.
About 8,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, the devil's in the details on how big that service area is. The devil's in the details on what that cost would be. That was kind of a rough quote that they were able to give us from a couple different companies, particularly the ones that are already out in that area. Okay. So and that was again, like you said, an all-in deal.
Mr. Conway, can I stop you on privatizing those? Are we worried that our CDL drivers would be taken from us if we get a company to come in? Because I know they would want to hire people that's familiar with the area. Do we have to worry about losing more drivers than we are already losing now?
I don't know how to answer that question. From their standpoint, this wasn't a big addition to their service already. So they weren't, saying we're going to have to create a whole nother sanitation department per se. But yeah, if there are drivers with more competitive offerings, it's possible. But those same drivers, we're competing with them now. Our drivers are, have the opportunity to go work for them today. And so lastly, talking about increasing in the trash garbage fee. Currently we pay $27 a month. This could be potentially increased to cover the additional costs that we would incur here. And I think it's been mentioned that we're looking for additional sources of revenue. One of the things that sanitation and landfill, in terms of collection and disposal, has looked to be is even with their collection versus their cost to collect and to dispose. And then this increase would allow the sanitation department and the landfill department not to have to draw from the general fund, but would be completely self-sufficient with the garbage fee. So again, I think we're just presenting this tonight for your consideration. There's nothing, obviously on the table, but when we were asked to come up with what are some ways that we can do better, what are some ways that we can solve this problem, what are some ways that we can do this. One of the ways we're already doing, you mentioned it already, Mr. Grimes, we talked about our equipment. We're changing our method of purchasing to a leasing option. We have 22 garbage trucks, we have 8 limb loaders, we have equipment on the way to help us in that regard. Because again, if you look at those numbers of 48 routes, 5 commercial routes, we need 53 trucks on minimum. 8 or 10 of those boom trucks working on a daily basis, and we just don't have that today. And that's a combination of our ability to staff fleet maintenance versus ability to staff sanitation versus our ability to staff landfill. So all of those 3 things tie together. There is, like I say, there is no magic to it. Item 1 has been taken care of. When that comes aboard, that's kind of a cost neutral situation for us. But we do look for it to help our operational efficiency. But these items we think are necessary for us to continue, because if our number is 255 employees and we're only down at 232 right now, then our ability to compete and get those people in, it hasn't changed over the past year. And so is that going to change over the coming year? It does, based on the past, it doesn't look like it would. So these are the things that we would ask for you to consider as we move forward and talk about fiscal year 2024.
Mr. Conway, I got information this week that we have Jamala was going to come down and speak to us about delinquent sanitation participants. Like we got 3,000 people that are not paying for their sanitation right now. And anybody approach that situation? Because I understand, Mr. Reed, do you know about that?
Yes, sir.
Jamala was going to bring that to us today.
Yes, sir. I don't know if Jamala's here or not, but I've had conversations with Chris and Jamala. That number is a correct number. However, in my conversations with Chris, we do have a process in which we engage with those individuals. So there is a grace period. Typically, when we start talking about picking up trash cans from those individuals, they are at the 90-day delinquent point. So that 3,000 people can be anywhere in that process, anywhere from 30 days past due to 90 days past due. So we have some systems in place, but it is an issue when we talk about our revenue and how we are picking up trash. One of the conversations we've had this entire time, this entire summer, is what are we doing about curbside trash? Well, part of it is, yes, it's the city's responsibility to provide the service, but it's a partnership between our citizens also. So there's other things that we haven't done as a city, as in charge people for trash that is outside the ordinance size, which is 1 cubic yard. We've been doing that to just take care of what's been there on the street. We've had things that aren't on the list that ends up on curbside trash that we're picking up, mattresses, toilets, things along those lines. And trees that we have said, because we've had some storms, that we would take care of, but a number of those trees are bigger than what is allocated or prescribed in the ordinance. So part of that conversation is how do we then have the support of the council to then make sure that we are enforcing that ordinance, and more importantly, understanding, having those conversations with the communities, the neighborhood associations, the HOAs, to say, hey, we want to partner with you, but if it's a time management situation, it's an equation. If we got to spend 15 minutes to 20 minutes at each stop, there's just not enough hours in the day to pick up all the curbside trash on schedule. And that's why we have prescribed some of the things that you're looking at here. Chris has done a great job of working with the sanitation workers. A lot of these ideas came from our sanitation workers. We didn't come out with this just us spitballing in a room. We went out and asked the people who do it on a day-to-day basis. So these prescriptions here are based on what their feedback to us was.
Mr. President, Chris, thank you for this, for one thing. And I just had a couple of things. Just one, we might as well just, I just do not agree with increasing fees right now. But for the 1 day a week, I think that would be awesome if it's 1 day a week trash pickup curbside, and we still have that day where we run, or would they run at the same time we're picking up the bulk trash? Would that be a separate day?
It would potentially be a separate day, yeah.
So how would we push that out? How would you imagine pushing something like that out?
We have basically two options. So right now we pick up all of the garbage in our city on Monday and Tuesday. And so that would leave us Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to pick up curbside trash. That's one way. Now you could continue to pick up garbage Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for half a day, and then you could pick up curbside trash for half a day. I mean, there are literally many ways to do it, but those are kind of the things that we would be looking at trying to implement that make a lot of sense, and maybe even does it go to 6 days a week, or does it shorten to 4 days a week? Those sort, do we work 10 hours in 4 days or whatever it is? So there's a lot of ways that we could kind of split that atom, and we would be looking at all of those, but obviously we won't look at them in an earnest way until we kind of know that we have the support to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and let me ask this question. I know it mentioned something about an additional, additional garbage can for those who have the larger families. Is there a fee to the homeowner to have that additional can? Do they have to pay for that?
So currently today there is. If you want an additional can, you're paying for 2 services.
Okay.
In this scenario, I believe it's contemplated that you would not necessarily have to pay for a completely additional service. You might have to purchase the can, but that might be the only one-time fee that you would have to pay.
How much is a can?
They're about $60.
Okay, so it'd be a one-time fee of $60 to have 2 cans.
Again, I'm just letting you know that's one of the possibilities.
Okay.
That's something that we've talked about.
So, Chris, because I want to address one of the comments by Councilmember Johnson on not increasing fees. When's the last time we've increased fees in garbage and trash pickup?
Charles would probably know that, but that was like 2018.
Yeah, that's about right.
So we talk about inflation, and we talk about just that long conversation we just had about revenue and covering expenses. We are at a point where, from an inflationary perspective, if we leave these charges as is and then we try to expand our service, we're going to be at a deficit when it comes to sanitation, because we're already pulling from the general fund to cover down on expenditures that we can't cover just with the fees alone as it stands right now. And that's what was alluded to earlier when Chris mentioned that we go to the general fund to do that. So what we're trying to do is be able to fund sanitation purely through the fees, and in order to do that, we will have to have a discussion about increasing fees. What that level is a discussion between our team and the city council, but I'll tell you, it's not sustainable long-term if we expand services and do not change our fee structure.
I do agree with you. I think that my thought would be to start charging for that curbside bulk that is out there that is not being charged, that we should be doing anyway.
Right.
Because you already stated it was 3,000 that weren't paying the bill. Just imagine what that number would be if we went up. It sounds like, yeah, it's just $3, but that's a lot of money to somebody that does not have it.
Right, fixed income. And then I think that it's also a more, a better conversation after we increase maybe some of these. Maybe we change the structure a little bit, go ahead and go to that 1 day a week maybe, go ahead and let people see that we can get the trash up off the street, because we have more days to do it instead of serving every day like that. And then I think when we had that conversation, we can say, well, we're offering you all the services. We're getting your trash up off the street, we're getting your garbage can picked up, all of those things. I think at that point it's a little different versus right now when we have this kind of frustration with the people that say, my trash already stay on the curb 3 weeks anyway because we're trying to get caught up. So I think that in time it could be, maybe 6 months, 3 months. I don't know. But I just agree that we
Just see what you bring back to us, Chris. Okay?
Chris, I got one question when we got you right here. A lot of the stuff that gets out on the street is these rental houses, and they have to, by law, they have to put the stuff on the street for 5 days. Can we pass something that make them rent a dumpster, put the stuff in a dumpster with a door that opens up, they can go get it out, and after 5 days, we want them to get the dumpster. It's not on the street. They got the dumpster. We don't have the dumpster. and they get the dumpster and get it out of there, and we don't wind up with all that junk on the street. I mean, when they cut limbs, because we pick up a ton of stuff we shouldn't pick up. I agree with you fully. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's a great solution, but it goes along the idea of containerizing everything.
Right.
So if we bag leaves, if we bag grass, if we keep things in some type of a container, that goes hand in hand. If you have an eviction, if you move out, whatever you do, anything you put on the street needs to be in some type of container that you've prearranged how that's going to be disposed of and picked up.
I want to put it in a dumpster.
Let's move on.
Let's
Let's move on. This is appropriate. Just tell us what's going to happen. Come back with what you want to do, and then we'll give you up and down. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Ms. Moore with Boss Youth League. You here, Ms. Moore?
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Coach Q, Corleen St. Cyr Moore, teaching entrepreneurship, and our mission is developing students into healthy leaders and entrepreneurs through discipline, dedication, and development. We've assisted over 2,000 kids throughout our program, and I know you probably met me before. These are some of our new recruits. We currently have about 35. We have a game today that's supposed to start at 5:30, so I know y'all press for time, we press for time too. We emailed you some updates of what we did this summer, and we had support of small businesses in the city like Levitate, the Montgomery Recreation Department, the council, the commissioner. So we've had support, we appreciate the support. We were able to travel to Miami for a week and meet NBA champion Norris Cole. He took pictures with us, also Brandon Knight, and we competed in a tournament. We also went to Atlanta and won a championship there. We got a trip coming up in Birmingham to watch the Pelicans and the Rockets play. And we would, appreciate your support. If everyone could donate $200 each, that'd greatly be appreciated. We have kids in our program. 99% of the kids that we service in our program does not have the funding. Throughout the course of our program, we've developed over 10 entrepreneurs that have their own businesses. Quintonio McDade, he just graduated, and he's gonna start his barber program. And he had a story with himself, going down the wrong path at first. So a lot of the kids that we worked throughout the whole city of Montgomery, but we first started in the Sheridan Heights Community Center area. And I don't know if you researched that area, it used to be a lot of fights and stuff like that when we first came to Sheridan Heights in practice. But a lot of the people there, they saw that we were working with the kids, and before you know it, it's a safer area from the kids that we work with thus far. And if you go to the community center, you don't really see any fights or anything like that, and the kids feel safe when they go there and practice, and we really appreciate the support thus far. We also gonna have another trip coming up in November, because we want the kids to watch John Morant. They also have business assignments, and they understand entrepreneurship. And when they graduate, a lot of times they have that urge to start a business. They don't know where it came from, but we put sugar in the medicine, and they have that urge to start businesses when they graduate. So we believe in being proactive, not reactive. We believe in giving the kids something to lose and having an investment in the community and in the city and wanting to start a business and build and be creative. That's why we take them to big cities, and they get ideas, they're motivated, they see how diverse it is, and I believe Montgomery is in that same path and is gonna grow even bigger. So I appreciate everyone here. I appreciate your support, and I ask for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Moore, do you have a card?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, man, I left it on my seat. I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tara Pryor with the Alzheimer's Association. Alzheimer's Association.
I think there's somebody going to substitute for Mrs. Pryor, either Richard Brown or Brandon Taylor.
Okay.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
We want to thank everyone for allowing us to speak. As I said, this is Richard Brown. He is with our executive committee for the Montgomery and the River Region Alzheimer's, Walked In Alzheimer's, and I'm the marketing chair. We're here today to thank you all for what you did last year. We appreciate the city and the council working with us to have the space downtown to do the walk. Alzheimer's, as you know, is still one of the leading causes of death in the United States, and Alabama has one of the highest rates of Alzheimer's and other dementia. We wanted to come today to request, first of all, to appreciate Councilman Jinright and Councilman Mitchell for your support and for being there at our event at Baptist earlier this year. But we're asking for the council to assist us and help with support from all of the districts for the walk. The walk will be coming up, I believe, in November this year. I'll have to get you some final dates, but we're looking for another great walk this year, as we've done for the past few years, to serve the community and make sure they're aware of the resources that are available through the Alzheimer's Association, as well as look for a cure, so that
We need
obviously.
a cure bad.
Yes, sir.
Please send each council member a request, okay?
I'm sorry.
Send the council members a request.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
For what you do.
Thank you, Brandon. And my support.
DeAndre Jones.
Just hand it to her and we'll pass it.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is DeAndrea Jones. I am the owner of Top Tier Events and Rentals located at 7758 Atlanta Highway. We are a business-to-business rental company. After assessing the community, I saw a need that there was other businesses that needed locations and places to host their events. We offer our rental space to other businesses so they can host their events. These events include conferences, seminars, workshops, continuing education courses, military ceremonies, retirement ceremonies, health fairs, and that's just to name a few. We're also looking to pour into our veterans as well, and host different types of health fairs also. It's a 3,000 square feet venue. It's customizable. We can accommodate small events. We can accommodate large events, not to exceed 100 people. I have presented you all with a business plan that, a business proposal that kind of explains everything better and further, our operation concepts and everything. A member will be present at each event. It does not matter what type of event it is. Security will be present as well. And all events must be catered by a licensed caterer. The event will have a warming kitchen. However, we do not have a commercial kitchen for actual cooking, just warming.
You called me on this, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
Didn't I talk to you about this one?
You did.
Yeah, and you said there would be no alcohol, that's
No,
not the
no
way you
alcohol.
want to go, just.
No alcohol.
So
This
you're
is
just
District One,
basically,
isn't it?
I don't even think, since it's not an event, not truly an event center, I don't think we even have to talk about this, do we? Because you're just having a place where.
She has to get a business license.
Yeah, she's got to get a business license. If Bob's Barber Shop wants to have a seminar on how to cut hair, they can use your building, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
But there won't be any alcohol.
No, sir.
Okay.
So it's not an event center, you having a conference space?
Yes.
But now, and I think when she originally secured her name, the concept may have been to have an event center, but after judging the climate in the city,
Yes.
she realized that wasn't beneficial, so that's why she changed her business plan to model what the city needed versus what she originally thought about.
Go get your business license.
Mr. President, can
Yes,
I
sir.
ask Ms. Blaylock a question? Ms. Blaylock, where do we need to go in this direction?
I think she needs to make an application with the business license and see what specification she's going to fall under in the business license code, since it's not a rental hall or an event center. Mrs.
So-
Comer will have to see how it fits under the business license.
Okay.
And if it's not something that requires it to come to council, then it's not something y'all would have to consider.
Okay.
So have you done
I did
that?
Uh-huh, and they actually labeled it under event hall, which is
Because
how
at that time, it was a
at
little
the time.
different. She's changed her business plan, and me and her talked, and then that's when she determined that her business needed to go in a better direction for the city of Montgomery, which is more suitable with what the council desire to see versus what, you know, so that's the reason why she just came on today and presented a business plan to let us see that, because she was already on the agenda, but, this plan puts her in a different place, but I told her it would be good to come on and talk to the council so we'll know where she is. And then she plans to make sure she become very entangled with that community once she get up and operate. She's gonna have a great relationship with that neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that. I think that's instruction. Good, okay?
All right, thank you.
Pastor Wagstaff?
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Good evening to each of you today, and thank you for the opportunity to come and just address an issue that we have. I'm with All Collaborating to Serve Community Development Corporation. We've been basically operating in the 1600 block of E.D. Nixon Avenue. Before you is a picture of houses that we have rehabbed over the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm coming again to ask for your support. We're in the process now of getting ready to rehab a house at 1217 E.D. Nixon Avenue, which is approximately 2 blocks from E.D. Nixon Elementary School. And we take pride in trying to eliminate blight in the community for which we work, live, and worship. So I'm asking again for your support because we believe in what we're doing. All the members of the board are actively participating. No one get paid for what we do. We just do this because we have a passion for the community. And we don't not only work in that community, but when other issues pop up, like with what happened out in Flatwood or King Hill, we go out and help because that's what we believe need to be done. So I'm asking for your support. Today I'm asking for $11,000. Pardon me?
Total.
Altogether.
Yeah, that's it. We always take care of you.
Okay. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your...
Pastor. Appreciate you.
All right.
Okay, that concludes our work session, and we will not take a break.
Before,
I think you can see
Mr. President,
hour and a half of work
Mr. President,
session
before
might
we
be
go
good.
into the regular meeting, I'd like to address one thing before we move forward.
Okay.
I'd just like to talk to the council about our denial of liquor license. We did a denial on the Dollar General. I had to go to the ABC board. I didn't know, learning the process, once we deny them, they can go to the ABC board for the beer license, and then they have to go to circuit court for the wine license. Just to understand that we deny them, but they also have the ability to give them their beer and wine license. And we cannot, and the first thing that I learned, due to the fact that only 3 or 4 people don't want them in that particular area, that's not a reason that the ABC board felt sufficient enough for me to deny them. So I just want to make sure that we really look into why we deny these places before we go out and deny a person for their beer and wine license. Because at the end of the day, they can go to the ABC board, or they can go to to the circuit court and get approval on them, and we're seeing that a lot. So I really want us to look, and I had the information about the safety, because it wasn't about consumption, it was about the safety. But the ABC board felt that I didn't have enough information to deny them, so they did get their beer license for the Dollar General on Virginia Loop Road.
That's good, and I tell you, Councilor Mitchell, I had one to go before the county as well on appeal, but it was upheld because we had, on the record, the people came out who didn't agree with it. Like you said, maybe 3 people sometimes, they think that's not enough, but a group came out, as well as we had liquor stores right off. It was like 3 or 4 of them right there. And so there was just this cluster, and they understood the position of the council that we no longer, and that's the reason why we put the moratorium in place that say you can't be right next to somebody else. Y'all can't be next door to each other selling, because then you just overwhelm the community. So we're trying to build a place for us to have opportunity to deny them and they not be overturned because we have, ordinances on the book for them.
And that's what I asked this council, that we sit down and we figure out some places that we do not. We want dry spaces. If we have that in writing an ordinance, then everybody will already know. So it won't be no gray area. We need to sit down and get our maps and designate some areas that we do not want those stores or liquor being sold in those particular areas. That's all I ask of the council.
Thank you.
Okay, we will conclude the work session and start our meeting at this time.